What's going to happen, though, you think?
Well, Diddy's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. I think he's probably going to get
Think he's
hit up.
insane, though?
I don't know. I don't even think it matters.
But then it's just another
There's
Epstein.
there's
It's
murder
another
cases.
Ghislaine Maxwell, where
there's
somebody gets
murder
indicted and
cases.
nobody else. Indicted for trafficking kids to
Right,
no
to
one.
no one.
Was there an incident where you witnessed somebody who was being abused or about to be abused or had been abused by Diddy, by Sean Combs, and you intervened and warned him to stop?
Definitely.
And what can you tell me about that?
Yeah, definitely. I've had several calls about this guy. You know, I've had several calls about his son, reaching under ladies' dresses, fondling them without asking for permission. You know, where did he learn this behavior from? Where would he learn that from? The legendary Dapper Dan said he knew Combs' parents, and he said what's going on with Combs didn't start with him, it started with his family.
It all started with a clip that spread like wildfire online. Joe Rogan sitting across from his guest, leaning forward in that intense, unblinking way he does when he's about to absolutely tear apart someone's reputation. This time, the target wasn't just another Hollywood celebrity caught in a petty scandal. No, Rogan had set his sights on Justin Combs, Diddy's eldest son, and he was ready to dismantle the image Justin had carefully built for years. Rogan didn't waste any time sugarcoating things. He opened the conversation by saying there's a point where the public stops looking at someone like an innocent bystander and starts recognizing them as a full-blown participant in the chaos. According to Rogan, Justin crossed that line a long time ago. He painted a vivid picture of a young man who grew up surrounded by luxury, privilege, and power. But instead of using those advantages to carve out his own respectable path, Justin leaned into the same manipulative, self-serving behavior that's been the hallmark of his father's career.
P. Diddy party. This is what happens to the white man.
It's so unfortunate.
You gotta pull back though, so they can see. That's crazy. Matt, move out the way. You're still alive. Look at that. Look. Would you?
He had a drink on his head.
And that's James from Simeon Mobile Disco. He is a actual DJs aren't supposed to pass out, but when they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them.
Then there's also like people that are elites, and that's their thing. Like their thing is to do something that is horrible, and you know, it's not available to other people. So it's like, I think there's like a sickness that people have when they have power, like extreme power, and then well, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else is what else is taboo? What else is forbidden?
And Rogan made it clear that, in his view, Justin's public behavior in recent months had only confirmed the worst suspicions. He pointed out how Justin has been going out of his way to defend Diddy, not by providing facts or logical arguments, but by attacking critics, deflecting questions, and posting vague self-pitying statements on social media. Rogan described it as a spoiled, thin-skinned attempt to rewrite reality. The kind of thing that only works if the public is too distracted to notice the truth. Rogan wasn't just mad at Justin for defending his dad, he was furious about the way Justin has been trying to paint himself as some sort of victim. On his podcast, Rogan broke down the pattern. Whenever bad headlines about Diddy surface, Justin pops up online to talk about loyalty, family, and haters, while completely avoiding the actual allegations against his father. To Rogan, that wasn't just cowardly, it was calculated. He explained that when someone like Justin does this, it's not just about protecting a family member, it's about protecting the entire brand. Justin knows that his father's name is directly tied to his own opportunities, from business ventures to social connections. If Diddy's reputation implodes completely, Justin's carefully cultivated lifestyle takes a hit too. That, Rogan argued, is why Justin comes out swinging against critics, but never addresses the substance of what's being said. Rogan then shifted gears and started talking about the sheer hypocrisy of it all. He reminded listeners that Justin grew up in a world where accountability was something that happened to other people. In Rogan's words, if you grow up in an environment where every problem gets solved by money or influence, you start thinking that's how the world works. You start thinking rules are just suggestions. And in Rogan's eyes, Justin has been living by that exact philosophy, flaunting his wealth, showing off expensive vacations, and acting like none of the serious allegations surrounding his father's empire have anything to do with him.
I got my MTV. I'm savage. I'm a savage. Oh, I'm a savage. Whatever I want, I'm going to get. Whatever I want, I have to get.
Everybody hung with Diddy. That's the other tricky thing. Like, Diddy hung out with everybody. And I've spoken to a bunch of people who are like, yo, great dude, like always there for you, never asked for a single thing.
Till 1 a.m.
And then freak off.
Everybody says, get out of the house. It's just amazing how many people in the Diddy party list that are supporting Kamala. Too.
Yeah, seriously. It's like insane.
Publicly, openly, like all in.
Yes. It's like J-Lo like was like his ex-girlfriend. and it's like now deciding she's like warning people against Trump. I'm like, well, wait a second. So how many people did she warn against Diddy?
Right.
Oh, 0. Okay.
Right.
Well, maybe we shouldn't trust her opinion.
One of Rogan's biggest sticking points was how Justin has been using public appearances to downplay the situation. Rogan brought up a recent interview where Justin brushed off questions about the legal chaos surrounding Diddy, laughing awkwardly and saying things were all good. To Rogan, that wasn't just tone deaf, it was insulting to anyone who's been paying attention. Then Rogan dug into the receipts. He reminded his audience that Justin hasn't just been passively standing by his father, he's been actively involved in promoting events, posting glowing tributes, and making public statements designed to cast Diddy as a misunderstood victim. Rogan said it's one thing to support your family privately. Publicly spinning the narrative to make a dangerous person look like a hero, you become part of the problem. The conversation got even more heated when Rogan talked about the generational nature of power in the entertainment industry. He pointed out that the cycle of bad behavior doesn't just happen because one person makes bad choices, it continues because those around them enable it. Rogan argued that Justin has become one of his father's most powerful enablers, not because he holds political office or controls a business empire, but because he has the credibility of being the son who knows him best. And when someone in that position chooses to stand up for the wrong things, Rogan said, it sends a dangerous message. To drive the point home, Rogan compared Justin's situation to other high-profile cases where children of famous figures publicly defended their parents despite overwhelming evidence of wrongdoing. He stressed that this kind of loyalty isn't noble, it's selfish. In Rogan's words, you're not protecting them out of love, you're protecting your own comfort zone. From there, Rogan started painting a picture of what he thinks life has really been like inside Diddy's inner circle. He described a culture where speaking up is discouraged, where silence is rewarded, and where those who toe the line are showered with perks and privileges. Rogan suggested that Justin learned early on that the quickest way to lose his father's favor and all the benefits that come with it would be to question his actions. But the part that really got Rogan fired up was the idea that Justin might actually believe he's fooling people. Rogan said the internet has changed everything. You can't just sweep controversies under the rug and expect no one to notice. Yet Justin seems to be operating under the assumption that as long as he keeps smiling for the cameras and posting family photos, people will forget what's happening in courtrooms and behind closed doors. Rogan didn't hold back when talking about the danger of this mindset. He warned that when public figures, even the children of celebrities, try to normalize bad behavior by downplaying it, they're not just protecting one person, they're lowering the standard for everyone. Rogan argued that Justin's public defense of his father isn't just about loyalty. It's about making sure that the lifestyle he grew up with stays intact, no matter who gets hurt in the process. As the podcast went on, Rogan's tone shifted from frustrated to almost disgusted. He said that in situations like this, the right thing to do isn't complicated. You tell the truth, even if it costs you. But in Justin's case, Rogan doesn't believe that will ever happen. The stakes are too high for him personally, and the comfort of his current life is too deeply tied to his father's public image. Rogan wrapped up the segment with a warning for his audience. Pay attention to who's speaking out and who's staying silent. And when someone's silence is louder than the truth, that tells you everything you need to know. He made it clear that, in his eyes, Justin Combs has chosen the wrong side, and that choice will define him long after the headlines fade. But the conversation didn't end there. Rogan and his guests began discussing how this pattern plays out in other celebrity families, and the parallels were hard to ignore. They brought up examples from the music industry, sports, and Hollywood, showing how often the children of famous figures end up defending their parents at all costs, even when the evidence is damning. Rogan emphasized that this isn't about being perfect, it's about basic moral responsibility. He questioned how someone could grow up seeing so much controversy, so many red flags, and still decide to stand on the wrong side of history. And in Rogan's view, Justin's public actions have made it clear where he stands. The more they talked, the more it became obvious that Rogan wasn't just criticizing Justin Combs as an individual. He was using Justin as an example of a larger problem. The culture of entitlement and protection that allows powerful people to avoid consequences. In that sense, Rogan's takedown of Justin wasn't just about one family, it was about the entire system that makes this kind of behavior possible. By the end of the episode, there was no mistaking Rogan's stance. He sees Justin Combs as someone who's not only failing to hold his father accountable, but actively working to shield him from the fallout. And for Rogan, that makes him just as complicit in the damage that's been done. After Rogan's rant started making waves online, the conversation began to evolve into something even more pointed. Viewers noticed that Rogan wasn't just focused on Justin's present behavior, he was dissecting how years of unchecked privilege had shaped him into the man he is today. Rogan's frustration wasn't born from a single interview or a careless social media post. It was a culmination of patterns that had been in plain sight for anyone willing to connect the dots. Rogan started breaking down Justin's career trajectory, which in his eyes had been built less on merit and more on proximity to power. He recalled how Justin's brief stint in college football got as much coverage for the free perks he received as it did for his athletic performance. Rogan reminded his listeners about the controversy when Justin's presence on a university team was overshadowed by questions of whether he'd earned his spot or whether doors opened simply because of his last name. To Rogan, that wasn't just a sports issue, it was an early sign that Justin had grown comfortable living in a world where accomplishments are inherited rather than earned. The discussion also shifted to Justin's ventures in entertainment. Rogan pointed out that while Justin had dabbled in music, modeling, and other public-facing careers, there was never a moment where he truly broke through on his own. Instead, Rogan argued he has coasted on the glamour of association, staying in the spotlight not because of groundbreaking work, but because of his attachment to Diddy's brand. This, Rogan said, is why Justin is so fiercely protective of his father's image. Without that connection, his relevance and influence would shrink overnight. Rogan went further, questioning how someone could grow up with front row access to the inner workings of the entertainment industry, the good and the ugly, and to perpetuate the same toxic cycles. He argued that Justin, unlike fans or distant associates, can't claim ignorance. He's been there, in the rooms where deals were made, where reputations were managed, where the truth was often reshaped for public consumption. Rogan's point was that this level of exposure comes with a choice: either break away from it or become part of the machinery. And from Rogan's perspective, Justin has made his choice loud and clear. One of Rogan's most damning observations was about how Justin uses timing to his advantage. He explained that Justin tends to speak out only when public opinion is at its most divided, a strategy Rogan described as jumping into the fog. By inserting himself when the conversation is already chaotic, Justin can muddy the waters, making it harder for people to focus on the details that matter. Rogan saw this as a deliberate way of protecting his father without having to directly address the most damaging claims. Rogan also tackled the idea of loyalty, a word Justin often throws around in interviews and posts. Loyalty, Rogan said, isn't about standing by someone no matter what. It's about doing what's right, even when it's uncomfortable, By redefining loyalty to mean blind defense, Justin has, in Rogan's eyes, stripped it of its true meaning and turned it into a shield for bad behavior. The podcast episode took on a sharper edge when Rogan described the ripple effect of enabling someone like Diddy. He painted a picture of how influence and power trickle down, not just in business, but in mindset. When the head of a family or an empire operates without accountability, it sets the tone for everyone around them. Rogan's worry was that Justin wasn't just defending his father, he was learning to replicate that same mindset, preparing to carry it forward into whatever legacy he tries to build. To wrap up, Rogan left his audience with a challenge. He urged people to look beyond the polished images, the curated Instagram posts, and the carefully worded interviews. Watch the actions, he said. Watch who they protect and why. If they're protecting someone at the expense of truth, they're telling you exactly who they are. In Rogan's mind, Justin Combs had already told the world everything it needed to know, not through his words, but through the choices he's made in the shadow of his father's controversies.